Hey all, it's Mr. Borosky, and today we are going to be getting into a little bit of programming for JavaScript. We've been doing HTML, and for the next few weeks we're going to shift over to some JavaScript. And with that said, we are going to be diving in today to Unit 3, Lesson 3. So the point of this video is to give you all some tips and tricks, not only how to solve some of these, these skill sets that you're going to be doing in this assignment, but also just to give you a broad overview of the platform we're going to be using. All right, so for code.org, the first thing that you're going to see is to the left, we're going to have our little GUI right here. When we write our code, which is going to be in our workspace, we're going to be hitting run. And once we hit that run, then the code is going to execute as compared to HTML, where it's continually executing. So a little bit of difference with that. Next thing I want you to see on the GUI right here is going to be where it says show grid. Now, once you click on the show grid, you're going to have your little graph that comes up. Now, this right here is going to be your x-axis, and this is going to be your y-axis right here. And it's a little bit different for this GUI as compared to your math. And the difference is going to be your x and your y-axis. As you go up, if you look right here, this is going to be your 0, 0. So this is where x is 0 and y is 0. And you can see that right under finish, where it's going to, right here, it's going to show your x's and y's. So right here is going to be your 0. So as you're moving to the right, you're going to be able to see that your x number is getting larger and larger and larger, where your y is pretty much staying the same. However, when we start going down, that's when our y number starts getting bigger. So when we move to the right, the x gets bigger. When we start going down, the y gets bigger. And we can see this once we show the grid right here. It's a lot easier to see it when we show the grid. All right. The next thing is going to be your toolbox. Your toolbox is right here, and this is where you're just going to drag and drop all your toys. So if you want to make some rectangles, this is where the rectangle is, RCT is rectangle. So this is where you're going to drop your code, and I've got this, when I'm dropping in the code, it's not dropping it in blocks, it's dropping in actual code. But if I click on the show text, then it'll show me the blocks here. I prefer to operate without the blocks. I like the text better. All right, so this is your toolbox, and this is where you're going to be dragging all of your code, and you're going to be dropping it into your workspace. The next area is going to be your version history, and this is your workspace. This is where you write your code, or this is where you're going to modify your code. These two lines right here, these are your comments. Two backslashes are your comments, and then you can write your brains out right here, and that'll be your code. The rectangles, and this is going to be your shapes, rectangles, and we'll get into that a little bit later. The next thing I want you all to see is going to be your version history. If you click on the version history and you click on start over, it's going to start all of your game over again. So it's a real great tool if you start getting lost in the reads. Click on the version history and it will reset for you. Show text, what this is going to do is this is going to take your blocks that you're going to be dragging over. This will take your blocks and this will take it from blocks to text and to blocks again. So you can just go back and forth with it. The next thing is going to be your instructions. Your instructions are going to be right here under the instructions tab. If you click on helps and tips, this is going to be your helps and tips tab. And if for teachers only, well, guess what? That's not going to be there for you. All right, so for instructions, what it's telling us to do for this bad boy is to, so here is the same line of code from the previous one, but we're not going to go back there. Change the numbers inside the block, and then try running the program again. Try to place the rectangle near the bottom right of the screen. All right, so what we will need to do is we want to get to the rectangle to the bottom right of the screen. Now, when we draw a rectangle, the point that it's going to start is going to be right here. It's going to start right here at the top left, and then it's going to go over, down, over again, and then up. And that's going to be how it's going to draw your triangle. So if we want our triangle right here at 300 and 300, then it's going to fill in this block right here. So we're going to change this number right here to 300, 300. And we'll hit run, and it created our triangle right here. All right, so we're going to go ahead and end this. We'll go ahead and click on finish. And once we do that, we'll hear the ta-da thing, and then we can move on with our lives, and we'll do one more. All right, and we're going to jump ahead a little bit. We're going to go over to 5. Let's see what 5 has for us. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and go to version history, start over. And the first thing I'm going to do when we're doing coding in the JavaScript, so I'm going to obviously read the directions. All right, so for this, look at the code that draws two rectangles. So we know it's a rectangle because it says RECT. This is the X that you want, the location for the X, and this is the location for the Y where you want it to start drawing the shape. So look at the code that draws the two rectangles. Okay, so we got two rectangles here. We've got a red one and we got a blue one. And the first thing I want you to take a look at here is in order to make the rectangles and to fill them in with a color, the first thing you need to do is you need to tell the computer what color to make the rectangle, and then you need to draw the rectangle. You can't do it backwards because it ain't going to work. So make sure you first tell the computer what color you want the rectangle to be, and then once you're done with that, then go ahead and tell the computer to draw the rectangle. Now, with this code, what this is doing is it's saying, all right, computer, draw the next rectangle you draw, make it a red one. And now if you see this little arrow right here, if we click it, we can go ahead and change the colors, but we don't want to do that because that's not what the directions tell us. So we're telling the computer to draw to the next rectangle we want it to make it a red one. Then we're telling the computer to draw a rectangle at points 175, 175, X and Y. So we see right here that this is 175 and 175 for the rectangle. Underneath of it, we're telling it then to draw a blue, the next rectangle we draw, make it a blue one, and then it gives us the rectangle then we draw the rectangle at 200 and 200. And if you see it right here, this is drawn at 200 and 200, or pretty darn close to it. However, when we look at this over here, what we have is this rectangle on top of the other one. So what this is telling us pretty much to do is we need to go ahead and draw the blue rectangle first, and then we're going to need to draw the red rectangle over it. And I believe that is green, so we're going to change the color to green as well. All right, let's see here. So the directions are telling us, look at the code that draws the two rectangles. The first one is drawn red and the second one is blue. Change the red rectangle's color to green. Change the order of the code so that the green rectangle appears on top. Remember that you can always turn on the grid to show everything, yada, yada, yada. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to click on that drop arrow. We're going to click on green. And then we're going to do the easiest way to move these blocks around, in my opinion, is to go to your text, copy your text, Control C, backspace, get rid of that text, and go underneath and Control V it, and go back to your blocks. It's a little bit easier to do this. So what we've done is we are now drawing the blue rectangle first, and then the green one. So let's see if that works out for us. Hit reset, and then run again. And now what we have here is we have our green rectangle on the top, and we have our blue rectangle underneath. Everything looks scrumdiddlyumptious. We'll wrap it up and pack it up, and we'll hit finish. All right, so hopefully this little refresher is going to be helpful for y'all. Make sure you watch the Decker video. He's got a lot more insights on each one of these steps. And yeah, have a great day.